Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Thursday, December 1st, 2016. Yeah, actually, I went to see Queensryche last night in Fort Lauderdale at the Culture Room, and I gotta say, the set could be better, but you know what? It was a nice night. I had to admit it. Of course, he had a few knuckleheads in the area, nothing new whatsoever, but they got taken care of pretty quick. Thereafter, the great vibe. Armored Saint played, and unfortunately, I missed the other band. I've got their name top of my head, but it was classic. That's the great way I describe it. Classic, entertaining. Some old friends I haven't seen were there, which is great. So I just to give you my little intake, what I've done. Got caught in the rain, so I had little sniffles, but nothing major. And it was funny because I was like checking out. So the video by We Are Change talked about Jill Stein got caught up on some recount scandal, where she never had any approval through the Green Party. It's like a unilateral decision, and instead of using any attorneys to represent the party, she got some clown from Michigan who was in the involved with the Democratic committee up there. A lot of major conflict of interest. I don't know what was she thinking of, but it's very disturbing when you do that and deceive your own members of your party. The question I have for her, is she going to run as a Democrat in 2020? One thing a lot of folks have to really think about. Yes, I do recall I was disappointed on her little tweet about the Mahler 7, trying to compare it with the DAPL. The way she interpreted it was very inapplicable in good faith. Well, that's just the past. And now with this, I consider her to be a patsy. Yeah, respectfully, I can describe her in that particular position. But whatever you do, you have to go through protocol. And personally, I'm not a big fan of political parties as a whole. Like I remember just what George Washington warned us about it on his farewell address. Something really to think about. And based on those actions, I could say Dr. Stein has chose poorly. But it's nothing really new. It's just people got to be very safeguarding, have a safeguarding nature when you get involved in any of these particular entities, movements, etc. And what's good about it, it sheds more light. And some of the folks agree. More people, they realizing the political parties are becoming obsolete. And hopefully we'll have more folks get involved as independents or have principles that will look at the Americans' people's best interest, regardless on what they look like and so forth. All right, so I'm going to be hitting this off. First thing I was going to talk is by the Action Network, and it has a petition. It says this secret trade deal could be worse than TPP. And it says public outcry, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a massive trade deal that would expand internet censorship and decimate democracy. But there's another corrupt corporate deal in the works that even less people have heard of. The Trade in Service Agreement, or TISA, T-I-S-A, like the Trans-Pacific Partnership. TISA is being negotiated in extreme secrecy, but it's even bigger than the TPP, with more than 50 countries involved, tying together the world's largest economies, the U.S. and the European Union. TISA is even less transparent than the TPP. The text is intended to remain secret for 5 years after the agreement has already gone into effect. So they want to hide this crap from you and assume that you're too damn stupid. Thanks to leaked text, We know that TISA would legally codify and dramatically explain internet censorship, giving companies like Facebook total immunity to quietly take down and throttle content without public accountability. It could also create loopholes for governments and corporations to violate privacy law, and like the TPP, it would have far-fetched reaching on our financial stability, the environment, public health, and national sovereignty. The road to technocracy, once again. While public pressure made it so that every major presidential candidate in 2016 was opposed to TPP, we still don't know where Donald Trump or most other politicians stand on TISA. The same multinational corporations who desperately try to pass TPP and undoubtedly pouring massive resources into lobbying an incoming administration to say that this new deal is indifferent and to give it a stamp of approval. Our victory against the TPP has changed the game and made it much more likely that we can stop TISA. We've already educated millions of people about the danger of these secret corporate pacts. We can derail this deal, but we have to act fast. We have a narrow window to sound the alarm about this dangerous power grab. Please sign a petition to elect President Donald Trump and all lawmakers. Here's the text. No more secret trade deals. Please vocally oppose TISA now. Once you've signed, share with your friends. We need everyone to know this is happening and fast. And of course, you can look at some of the things here on newrepublic.com on this particular trade agreement. And came out actually stuff from last year, so something to really look at. And many other links on here as well. So folks, do that. Make this happen. No more ends, no ends, ifs, or buts. Okay, so I'm going to just do it right now. Do this right now, so get this out of the way. And I will put this on my footnotes like everything else. So I'm going to just type it in. Let me see. Because I know for a fact this will affect everybody, regardless who's involved and so forth. So definitely get this word out as we speak. I want to be hitting my Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus page. Those are those areas I check out. I mean, I put on there most of my stuff, but I will add everything else on my other alternative pages, which I will address afterwards. And donate money to them too. This is essential. On here, boom. Another road to technocracy proposal. Well, that's how you gotta look at it, my friends. Always gotta be vigilant. I'm tired of all these sacred trade deals, and of course, look what those bastards did with definitely make that happen, okay? Come on. I will just add that on here. Oh, come on. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. So, like I said, my friends, no more of this crap. All right. So, next one here will be US Motherboard.com by Joseph Cox. This says U.S. judges can now sign global hacking warrants. On Thursday, changes to the rules around U.S. search warrants came to effect, meaning that magistrate judge can now authorize the hacking of computers outside their own district. Legal experts have described the move as the broadest expansion of extraterritorial surveillance power since the FBI's inception, an agency that has already embarked on international hacking operations. The Department of Justice, meanwhile, has defended the changes, arguing they are crucial for policing crime in an age of automatization technology such as Tor. Oh my goodness. Oh, encryption's a crime. Run to the hills. The move centered around Rule 41 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, which regulates when and under what particular circumstances judges can issue warrants for searches and seizures, including remote searches of suspects' computers. According to the Department of Justice, the problem is that when a criminal suspect is using Tor perhaps to post child pornography on a dark website, it is very difficult to know where the person is currently located. May have some say, but the whole thing is attack everyone collectively if you use Tor. So, in those cases, the rules do not clearly identify which court the investigators should bring their warrant application to. Assistant Attorney General Leslie R. Caldwell wrote in a blog post published last week. What the FBI has done in response is to go to one magistrate judge and ask him to authorize the hacking of computers that were used to view illegal material whenever located. That's what the agency did for its 2015 investigation into dark web child pornography site Playpen. The FBI ended up hacking some 8,700 computers in 120 countries. But up until today, magistrate judges were only able to sign warrants for searches within their own district. In the Playpen case, the Eastern District of Virginia, unless the cases overlap with some exceptions, such as involving terrorism. But if you're the government, you do things tyrannically and scare and abuse people, that's not terrorism. That's heroism. Okay, plenty of courts found that the Playpen warrant breached 41 Rule 41 because it attempted to greenlight searches outside the respective district. Some judges even threw out evidence because the rule of the violation. The new tweaks change all of that. If issued today, the Playpen warrant would likely not violate Rule 41. We believe technology should not create a lawless zone merely because a procedural rule has not kept up with the times, Caldwell added in the blog post. Senator Ron Wyden and a group of bipartisan senators have attempted to block the Rule 41 changes introduced in the bill Stop Mass Hacking Act. There's a dramatic expansion of the government's hacking and surveillance authority. Such a substantive change with an enormous impact on Americans' constitutional rights should be debated by Congress, not maneuvered through an obscure bureaucratic process. Senator Wyden said in a statement at the time, and he's right. The bureaucratic way, thou shalt take shortcuts, the bureaucratic way. Susan Hennessy, a fellow national security at the Brookings Institution think tank and former and National Security Agency attorney, took issue with Senator Wyden's characterization that the rule has been changed with an obscure process. This is the way that they're supposed to be pursuing these rule changes, she told Motherboard in a phone call. The Supreme Court approved the changes in April of this year. Stick it. Now the changes have come into effect. Congress can still appeal and have a debate about the rules that and their appropriateness, she added, referring to a Playpen operation. Senator Wyden told Motherboard in a statement that because of the changes, hacking more than 8,000 computers on one warrant will not be only legal, but could seem modest once prosecutors start testing the limits of this new authority. Thank you very much, Senator Wyden. And that big sister, Susan Hennessy, have to realize that. I don't give a damn what the Supreme Court says. Our Bill of Rights supersedes that. Of course, you're going to expect shady elements when using these sites, but now you're going to attack what's going to be next. Get anyone that criticizes the NSA or any governmental entity and shut them down. Hack them. Remember, government is the greatest parasite in society. No ands, ifs, or buts. This is very dangerous, my friends. And I don't even use Tor, but I should start using encryption just to drive these clowns crazy, these bureaucratic, tyrannical stooges. Am I a fan of child pornography? Hell no. Bunch of sick bastards out there and bitches too that support that manifest over this particular topic on child pornography. I never, ever cared and condemn it with the passion. But when the government wants to step in and just use the magic wand. They'll use this as they use this as a justifiable cause. However, it can spread even more. Another form of cyber tyranny. And I would tell everyone support Senator Wyden's cause on this and pursue this through Congress. No more complaining. Start taking action. Plain and simple. All right. Next one here came out yesterday from the motherboard. And it's just going on at Standing Rock. As I said, government is using a no-fly zone to suppress journalism at Standing Rock, is by Jason Kobler. In recent weeks, video shots by Native American drone pilots have shown percussion grenades launched from an armored vehicle deep into a crowd of people protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline, North Dakota. They have shown people being knocked backwards with a constant barrage of water, being shot from fire hoses. They've shown a line of body of armor-clad cops aiming guns at unarmed border protectors, holding their hands high above their head. Another video shot at night shows that the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline continues under the cover of darkness. In the recent weeks, Dakota Access Pipeline protesters have been tear gassed, sprayed with water cannons in freezing temperatures, and shot with rubber bullets by a police force using military-style vehicles and violent riot suppression tactics. Every suppression apparatus the government has its disposal has been used. Even the National Guard has been called in. These drone shot videos have been invaluable in recording these abuses, and yet those too have been targeted by the government. Federal Aviation Administration has set up a temporary flight restriction over a 4-mile radius surrounding the Standing Rock protest. The TFR applies only to civilians. Law enforcement helicopters and aircraft buzz over protesters with impunity. So the governmental entities are so special. They're so special. Give them the red carpet treatment and everyone should kiss their ass. This blasphemy is the word. Experts say the no-fly zone is a blatant violation of the First Amendment and that has normalized a chilling precedent set by the FAA. Go figure. Remember what happened with the firearm-free zone that the terrorists used on 9/11? Took advantage of that. And I said, you know me about 9/11, but that's just on a down-to-earth point of view. Don't know a damn thing. FAA I'll go right here. FAA during the 2014 protests in Ferguson found the police killing Mike Brown. By definition of the word, the drone pilots documenting the Dakota Access Pipeline protests are conducting journalism. The videos live streamed to Facebook and later posted on YouTube have shown human rights abuses, caught police in lies, and in the case of the numerous videos that show their drones being shot at by the police. I've seen those too, so they are correct on that. Have documented law enforcement committing federal crimes. Many of the videos have thousands of views on YouTube and millions have seen them on Facebook. This no-fly zone is a clear violation of news gathering rights that are protected by the First Amendment. Roy Gutterman, director of the University of Syracuse's Tully Center for Free Speech, told me, using drones for news gathering is a viable modern technique and looks like it's a government action clearly aimed at limiting access to a public place. Digital smoke signals. Since August, Marion Dewey has been flying drones above Standing Rock, a Native American from Nevada. Dewey went to Standing Rock because he wanted to stand up for the indigenous rights after seeing mining destroy native lands near his home. He brought a drone with him to set up a small media company called Digital Smoke Signals. He and a person called Drone to Be Wild, have been the main drone journalists documenting the protests and law enforcement's response to it. For years, the story has been told for us, not by us. This is our opportunity to tell our story, Dewey told me. The drone footage it has given the public a general sense of a scale and the tenor of the protest. The drones has also given many of the world protectors peace of mind during the direct actions, according to Rihanna Locken, who has been a prominent member of the commercial drone community for years and has been providing on-the-ground support and training for the indigenous pilots. Drone levels at the playing field. They provide a sense of security to the rotor protectors to know that they're in the air documenting the truth, Lacken told me. It provides truthful and accurate documentation of what's happening so we can take the statements the Morton County Sheriff is putting out and verify it. Dewey instead said numerous water protectors have been arrested, have had their charges dropped based on the footage his drones have taken, and thousands of people have watched as law enforcement have used military-style tactics to suppress the protesters. The drones provide a visual narrative. We've seen unarmed people praying, getting shot with the water cannons, Dewey said. We show the canister being shot in the middle of the crowd, guns being pointed at people, medics being shot in the back with rubber bullets. Drone levels in the playing field, he added, they get us out of jail. That they have saved us from having to get close to the police to document what they're doing and to document that these atrocities and abuses of powers are happening. Work as usual of the pipeline has been happening. Flying drones in rural North Dakota in November has been difficult. The pilots burned through batteries at an astonishing rate and spotty 4G signal limits where the pilots can live stream from. Most concerning, videos show that the law enforcement regularly shoot at them, which is a violation of federal law that prevents anyone from firing on civil aircraft in U.S. airspace. Violating is a felony. I'm pushing the drones to a limit I don't think they have been tested at. Dewey said. Drone was freezing up because it was sprayed with water. There were icicles on the drone. I've had 3 shot down, 1 by sniper fire, 1 by a canister, a percussion grenade at another. We're on drone number 8. They continue to fly. The no-fly zone on October 23rd, the Morton County Sheriff's Department announced it had shot down a drone after it had approached a police helicopter in a threatening manner. Soon after, it petitioned the FAA for the TFR, which extends until at least Friday. In the past, TFRs have been immediately renewed after they expire. Dewey told me he follows the law. When their planes are flying, we document them 100 or 50 feet off the ground. In that case, the helicopter followed me. It was probably half a mile away from the helicopter, he said. Morton County Sheriff's Department did not respond to a voicemail or text message I left as the public information officer. I made 4 phone calls to 2 phone numbers given to me by a secretary in the department's main office. None were answered. The TFR says no pilots may operate an aircraft in these areas covered. Notice to airmen. However, it carves out an exception for the response aircraft in support of law enforcement aircraft, meaning that police aircraft continue to monitor the protesters' camp. In essence, a giant tarp has been laid over the site, allowing law enforcement to act with impunity and without any witnesses. Peter Sachs, a drone law attorney in Connecticut, wrote on his blog earlier this week. Government of Security University told me the TFR has the effect of prior restraint, an established First Amendment violation in which the government places a restriction on expression before it can take place. The FAA has been placed in an odd position for an agency whose primary job has been making sure plans don't crash into each other, rather than attempt to find a balance between the First Amendment and safety. It has repeatedly erred on the side of censorship. Transcripts obtained by the Associated Press show that the TFR placed over Ferguson in 2014 was done primarily to restrict media access to the protest, which government said was clearly intended to manipulate news gatherings. In the past, FAA officials have ordered drone pilots to take videos off of YouTube and have received legal challenges from coalitions of news organizations, including the Washington Post, New York Times, and Associated Press, that can use of drones for news gatherings and constitutionally protected activity, which they're right. As far as the government imposing limitations on technology in public places, I can't think of anything like this. Law enforcement or first responders have a legitimate government interest in preserving safety in a disaster scene by cordoning off an area. But this is a little different, government said. You are putting a bubble over a whole zone without any legitimate government interest. The FAA told me in an email statement that it is investigating several incidences in which protesters have allegedly flown their drone in violation of the provisions of the TFR. The agency said that it is willing to give exceptions to the TFR for news medias who meet a series of requirements, including the new commercial drone regulation called Part 107 that required a certification and restrict flying at night and over people. In case of unmanned aircraft, operators must comply with the requirements of Part 107 and coordinate beforehand with the FAA. The agency said, "We've had no requests from media who meet those requirements." The agency added that it's aware of anecdotal reports of drones being shot down, but noted that it has only received one official report. Government says that in general there is no need to get an exception to exercise First Amendment rights, and the United States does not and has never had a method of registering journalists. There is no governing body that says as a journalist and who isn't a journalist, he said. In theory, it shouldn't matter whether the journalist is part of the protest or part of the traditional mainstream media company. Traditional journalistic ethics aside, there is nothing in law says that a journalist can't have an agenda. While the fate of the TFR and the Standing Rock drone journalist is important in the short term, there's a larger, more important societal question here. Will the FAA be allowed to continue rubber stamping no-fly zones for law enforcement whether there is a protest? It is scary then they can put these no-fly zones up during actions, whether it's Ferguson or Standing Rock or the next place it happens, Locken said. They can suppress media by putting up no-fly zones. Government says in order to challenge the no-fly zone, journalists will have to sue the FAA in federal court to have the TFR lifted as an emergency maneuver. To start, they would file a temporary restraining order seeking to stay the TFR. Then there would be a court proceeding. I think it might be an opportunity to test the application of the TFR under the First Amendment. He said the Ferguson protests are long gone, but this issue isn't going anywhere in the near future. Dewey said it's simply unfeasible to get the FAA approval for flights documenting abuses. The drones will continue to fly. We are witnessing people being shot, maced, water cannon, people being abused by beanbags and rubber bullets, he said. Hold on. Sorry about that. He said, we're documenting what happened. We've called the FAA and said it's very important we get an exception. They have told us their hands are tied. Do we continue to fly and document the atrocities? Yes, we do, because it's our right. The FAA has not justified what they're doing. Plain and simple. The whole thing is this, my friends. Nullify all their garbage, okay? Because the FAA is another dumbed down deception, and they say that in good faith. They can't tell you guys what to do. So keep it up, rebel, disobey their orders because it's null and void, plain and simple. And I'm going to do a little brief here. There's a happened a couple of days ago too. Excessive force lawsuit filed against Morton County Sheriff for November 20th bridge assault, and the documents are here. And they filed a suit on here. So it is a class action suit. People were injured. And the complaint here describes the excessive force with 9 class representatives were met with peacefully protest. 5 are native, including 2 members of the Lakota Nation. Vanessa Dundon of the Navajo Nation was hit in the eye with a tear gas canister that was shot by police directly at the crowd of border protectors. Jade Kalalaba Calico Lio Kalani, hopefully I pronounced Jade's name correctly, Wool, had 2 grenades blown up near her head, knocking her down, burning her face, and sending shrapnel into it, and causing her to be hospitalized. Crystal Wilson was shot with a water cannon, tear gas, and shot with a munition. David Dema was filming police when, without warning, they shot him with a water cannon, then in hand with a munition. He was hospitalized with broken bones and was told he would need reconstructive surgery. Gary Dual-Knife III saw a water protector knocked to the ground by a water cannon. Police sprayed her on the ground. He tried to move her away. He was shot in the chest, stomach, and leg by impact munitions. Mariah Marie Bruce was peacefully protesting when police sprayed her with water cannons. She was then hit in the genitals with the grenade and was hospitalized. Frank Fanon was taking pictures when he was shot in the abdomen and knocked to the ground by a rubber bullet. Israel Hoagland Lynn tried to help people who have been shot with water cannon and rubber bullets and was shot in the back of his head by an impact munition. He lost his consciousness, was hospitalized, and needs 17 staples for a head wound. Noah Michael Trenner, while praying, was shot by the water cannon hoses or cannon. Once on the ground, he was shot in the head by impact munition, bleeding badly when he was hospitalized. Civil rights violations that night were deliberately and impunitive, said Rachel Lederman, WPLC attorney. The Morton County Sheriff's illegal use of force against water protectors have been escalating. It's only a matter of luck no one has been killed. This must stop. So I'm not going to go too much detail, but it is insane, my friends. So I'm going to add that to the footnotes too, and you can see videos on this as well. And it's really effing disturbing, I would say that. All right. Well, like I say, support them. I know veterans are going in there now to protect them, which is fantastic. A little more rebellion, folks. You got to support these folks inside and out. I know I have been invited to go, but I have other commitments, unfortunately, and my vehicle has issues. But my comrade's still going down there, Al Suarez. I love you, brother. Keep it up, man. And let me know when you head out there, okay? Keep me posted. All right, my friends. Okay, next one here is Congress is from publicintegrity.org. It's entitled Congress Moves into Increased Judicial Transparency in D.C. This is by Kiata Rearmall. And it says here the measure calls for making an annual financial disclosures of the D.C. court judges similar to those already required for federal judges and making those reports available to the public. While D.C. court judges' paycheck come from the federal government, the judges have not been told to the same standards as federal judges when it comes to publicly disclosing their financial affairs. The measure also includes several other provisions intended to improve the D.C. court system, including allowing the courts to accept credit card payments. The push for the bill came from the Center of Public Integrity, gave the district an F for its poor judicial disclosure, and it ranked tied for the 47th among state high courts nationwide in its 2013 Justice Obscured project. The only state that has scored worse, Montana, Idaho, and Utah. It did not require judges to publicly file on annual reports at all. In the light of the Center for Public Integrity investigation, however, Montana Supreme Court has since ordered judges to file the same financial disclosures as other statewide officials. That's fair enough. Such annual disclosures reports typically show judges' income, investments, debts, and their gifts they receive. But in D.C., only the two of the disclosures form 10 sections: business and charitable affiliations and honorarium have been open for public inspection. That make it difficult for the public to have confidence that judges' personal financial interests are now affecting their caseloads. To change the rules, the legislation had to go through Congress rather than the district's city council because of the particular relationship the city has with the federal government as the nation's capital, creating stiff odds for the decidedly local issue. Still, measures won bipartisan support in a Congress that has rarely been able to agree on much. Representative Buddy Carter, Republican Georgia, has called on his colleagues to support what he called the good government bill when it came before the House. This increased disclosure will help strengthen an important pillar in our judicial system, the public's trust in an impartial judicial system, he said it at the time. The D.C. Open Government Coalition, which pushed for such reforms since 2014, welcomed the news of the bill's passage and expressed thanks for Norton's leadership. It will correct a gap in D.C. government transparency we have been concerned about for years, said Fritz Malzer, who co-chairs the coalition legal system. I think this is a great move. Things are happening by steps, my friend, and it's going to be some gaps and some little like tyranny still going on there. Absolutely, but one step at a time. So support it, give them the thumbs up, put their feet to the fire, my friends. Okay. Remember, Florida, we had a thing called the Sunshine Law, and you have to expose everything. All right. Finally, this came from the Gateway Pundit. It's by Alistair. It says here, congrats, minimum wage protesters. McDonald's unveils job replacing self-service kiosks nationwide. The Fight for 15 movement has been staging protests for the last few years, insisting that fast food workers get a minimum wage of $15 an hour. They don't care about the economic reality of their demands. They just want what they want. They refuse to understand that being a fast food cashier as a starter job, not a career. Many people warn them their demand would have negative impact on these jobs, as business owners would look for ways to work around them. That time has arrived. Former McDonald's CEO Ed Renzi writes at Forbes, thanks to fight for 15 minimum wage, McDonald's unveils job placement for self-service kiosks nationwide. As the labor union back for 15 begins yet another nationwide strike on November 29th, I have a simple message for the protest organizers and the reporters covering them. I told you so. It brings me no joy to write these words. Push for a $15 an hour starter wage has negatively impacted the careers prospect of employees who were just getting started in the workforce while extinguishing the businesses that employ them. I wish it were not so, but it is important to document these consequences, lest policymakers elsewhere decide that the $15 an hour movement is worth embracing. Let's start with automation. 2013, when the fight for $15 was still in its growth stage, I and others warned that union demands for a much higher wage forces businesses with small profit margins to replace full-service employees with costly investments in self-service alternatives. At the time, labor groups accused of business owners of crying wolf. It turns out the wolf was real. Earlier this month, McDonald's announced the nationwide rollout of touchscreen self-service kiosks. In the video the company released to showcase the new customer experience, it's striking to see employees who once have managed a cash register now reduced to monitoring a customer's choice at an iPad-style kiosk. There is always more than about unions and the workers. As large unions like the SEIU lost members and political bargaining power, they sought to inflate their ranks with fast food employees because it is a large segment of workers. I got the unions a lot of publicity, but in the end, it is the young people seeking the first job who will be hurt. Here's the bottom line. The out-of-state labor groups who funded these initiatives aren't shedding tears over the consequences, like their Soviet-era predecessors who foolishly thought they could centrally manage prices and business operations to fit in an idealistic worldview. Economic reality keeps ruining the model of all gain and no pain. This brings me to my last correct prediction, in which is that the fight for $15 was always a more creation of the left-wing Service Employee International Union rather than a legitimate grassroots effort. It is just further evidence that the left claims to care about the working man but really doesn't. As a person that's in the union, I got to look at all sides too, all sides across the board. So one of the big problems is, okay, you want to demand $15 an hour, but the money has no backing. It is called fiat. How long can it last in Latin? No commodity backing whatsoever. That's the first thing people need to study on economics and money. Two, McDonald's is a want, not a need. Okay? I used to work in groceries. I know how to making $3.35 an hour, like, almost 30 years ago. And you know what? That's how it goes. But you gotta pursue a little bit further. All right, don't just rely to be a cashier and you want to make this much money. It doesn't work like that. You have to have the skills, the talents to be more demanding. There's a lot of jobs out there, believe it or not, in the country. They don't have the qualified people. So we have to learn to better ourselves. Okay, that's why in good faith, I wasn't really crazy about this $15 an hour move. And I'm a union stagehand for goodness sakes. Because the whole thing is you got to see things across the board. You got to work with their budget. That's how you have to examine. You got to look at all sides. But don't just go in there and assume and have the magic lamp that everything's going to be hunky-dory. It doesn't. It only happens in fairy tales. Folks, you wanna make that demand? Don't work there. Get them where it hurts. I don't even go to McDonald's. To me, that's insulting. Their food sucks anyway. Okay, that's how I look at it. So, learn skills, learn many trades as possible. No excuses. Even a person like myself, I'm still learning more, and I'm almost 50, 48 years old. Still learning a lot more than I can. All right? So don't give up. Move on. Learn from this. And better yourselves. And even fight against fiat money. That's what you should be protesting on. And that is it, my friends. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to this show. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something that's interesting I'd like to check out, wherever you do, please send your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, and Scene.life. Or you can email me at LokiLuck3, which is Loki Luck and the number 3 altogether at gmail.com. No songs will be playing at this time, and you never know. One day I might just play a tune we gave you guys to check out. So, not this time, okay? So once again, my friends, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.